Welcome back, folks.
This is episode 55 of the Twinsies podcast.
The second Twinsies podcast number 2. Yeah, because there's 2 of them now, so we need to make a distinction each time. Ours is not.
Ours is Twinsy Alpha
on movies or something. But we do have a pseudo sponsor today.
Oh yeah,
La Colombe Coffee.
And by pseudo sponsor, you mean they gave us 0 money?
Yeah, I bought it, and I'm drinking
we gave
it.
them money.
I'm drinking it. It's one of my favorite things ever.
This is weird. Today we're recording differently, so we can't see ourselves.
Yeah,
it's tripping me out.
I'm looking into the computer, but
we're just staring into a desktop.
Nothing's happening. It's just a dead.
Which, as if it wasn't awkward enough, now we don't even get to see ourselves. So now we're literally just 2 idiots talking into a computer.
Yeah. Yep. So here we are. This is life now. This is life after 30. Although you're coming up on 30.
I am not yet 30. 29.
29.
Still in my 20s.
This is the big year, huh?
Yep.
Man.
I'm officially going to be old balls.
Yes. Nothing really changed for me at 30.
No.
Nothing ever does change at any given birthday.
I hate birthdays. Birthdays are overrated.
Yeah.
And like people who do like birthday weeks where they like celebrate for a week instead of a day.
It's not normal.
I just like no one, not that I get overly upset about it, but no one wants to be reminded that they're yet another year older. It's not a cause for celebration.
I'll be dead any time.
Yeah. If anything, we should go into a day of mourning.
Yeah.
For yet another death of a year.
I can see 40 now. It's weird. I'll be 33, which is not even close.
Terrifying.
But I'm like thinking about, well, I'll be 35, and then 35 is basically like 37, and then 37 is like basically essentially 39, and then 39 you're turning 40 next year. Yeah, I'll be 40 like next year.
You're almost dead.
But at the same time, in the 7 years I have between now and 40, you
can do a lot of stuff.
That same 7 years would take me back to 26.
Yeah, think about all the stuff you've done since 26.
I've done a lot of stuff in the last 6 years. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so. And then the 6 years before that, and the 6 years before that, I basically was just born recently.
Plus, you're a brand new baby Dan. Yeah, and I take consolation in the fact that I think of like the 40-year-olds that I've known, and they're still cool dudes.
Are they?
Yeah, they're not.
Depends how many kids they have.
Total
and how many wives
dorks.
they have.
Yeah. But you can maintain your coolness at 40.
This is true. But if you don't know about these, I'm going to give you my little spiel. La Colombe is a company I like. They're based in Philly. That's their headquarters. And this is their little draft latte. So it's actually has a very cool mechanism. I think I've talked about this in the past.
We've talked about it multiple
made
times.
like 30 years ago. Yeah.
When
it's got a little plastic thing underneath, and then it's got a little like valve where when you pop it, it shoots nitrous into the thing and froths it. So it's actually like kind of slightly foamy, like a latte. And these are on sale at Jewel Osco for the entire month of October for buy one get one free, which is incredible.
Yes,
so this is only
another
$1.40.
sponsor, Jewel Osco.
That's phenomenal. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, those are normally what, $3?
Yeah, $2.80 was the normal price, which it's not. I mean, that's pretty par for the course. I've seen them as low as like $2.50 at Target at times, but $1.40 is just. It's gonna be double fisting these all day, just bouncing off the.
Also, I'm a big iced coffee guy, just black, no cream or sugar, and their pure black is I think unrivaled in terms of, because that one year was it my birthday or Christmas, you got me basically like a vast assortment of just like black iced coffees, and that still reigned supreme. There were some ones that got kind of close, but La Colombe's just really good. There's like kind of like a chocolatey aftertaste. It's really good. Yeah,
it's very, very good quality coffee. I don't know what the company's doing these days, but they have a couple little cafes in Chicago.
Well, and their distribution
branching out for
sure.
They're
like nationwide distribution has only happened within like the last 2 or 3 years, right? Because when I went to see you out in Philly, it had not been like a national thing yet. Yeah. And then I remember just like seeing those pop up in like the Targets and the Myers of the world. And then now they're a real thing, I guess.
Yeah. Plus, I think it probably, I don't know if this helps or hurts, but the $3 price point for a canned coffee is like very commonplace now. Whereas I think even a couple years ago, there were probably less, especially for this guy not being very big. You'd be like, I'm gonna pay $3 for that.
Is that 12 ounces or 10?
This is 9.
9.
They're like, screw you. You're not getting 2 digits out of us.
Yeah. You'll pay Yeah, you'll
but
pay
there's a
33
lot.
cents an ounce. And
Yeah, and this isn't even like the highest. I think. I mean, the thing next to it I'd never tried before was like a weird bottle, just in the grocery store, and it was like $4. It's like, I don't know. You can go to a coffee house and get a latte for $3 or $4. So it is what it is. But I'm excited. I'm gonna drink so many of these this month. It's just gonna like probably impact my health in a very negative
Also,
way.
they're probably right around the corner from releasing their. They do a pumpkin one seasonally.
Yesh. Pumpkin spice ones.
And then in the wintertime, they do a mint one, which I find quite good. Quite good.
Yep, they have a lot of flavors. I like their chai one. I wouldn't buy them. Like, you have to order a lot of their weird flavors.
Chai is technically a form of what? What is chai?
I think it's like twigs and berries and sticks and, and like. I feel like
you
it's
walk
like,
around on the forest floor and you pick up chai.
I feel like we've talked about this before. Well, it is like chai tea latte, so it's tea. It's a really like spicy tea.
So then, do you have any idea? So they throw in some tea, they throw in some coffee, they throw in some cream.
What is a chai tea latte? Really, it's funny. A chai tea latte is kind of like, because I get those sometimes, because they're good, but they're like a little sugary depending on which place makes them. But I feel like they're kind of like one of those foods where you're like, where does a chai tea latte come from? Well, it comes from a bottle of like goo.
Yeah.
It's like a concentrate and like a mix.
Yeah.
And then they just like reconstitute, and that's like, some places they'll make one.
Again, I'm assuming there's some barista sitting at home shouting at into his iPhone that it's this thing.
But most places I know for a fact, I've watched them make it. It's a mix. They get a pre-made mix, and then they
maybe
pour
they
it
don't
in,
even know.
and they like don't even know either.
No one knows.
Which is weird, but
it comes from the Himalayas. There's a spring of chai tea latte that we harvest.
Yeah, there's a little troll.
You have to answer 3 riddles.
He guards it,
and he gives you a gallon of chai tea latte.
But it must be labor intensive if it's like become like a concentrate kind of drink, because I don't know.
Oh yeah,
I
saw this
seems
weird.
Like it's got to be like that's how they pitch that. So.
Speaking of labor intensive, so I've referenced this several times where I try not to be a coffee snob, but I like to look at like different ways of making it, because there's like 1,000 different ways to like brew coffee. And the other day I saw this one that was just really stupid, where it was so you had a Bunsen burner, so this like thing, it was like ultra hipstery. So a little Bunsen burner that you lit, and there's a flame, and then you had your little glass sphere of water, and then it heated the water, brought it, because of the heat, brought it up through this tube that dripped down over the top of coffee grounds, and then it would filter back into the bottom. So all the bubbly water at the top would get circulated to the top and then come back down over and I was like, this is the exact same way, because ultimately it's all the same. Heat up the water, run it through the coffee grounds, and that's what coffee is. But it's just like, it was just like this ultra involved process, and it was like this stupid looking, like hipstery, like basically something you would see in like a mad scientist's lab. And I was like, okay, I think we've gone too far.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's
and I've
seen those, because there's a couple of different versions you can buy for like $300, where it's like the little arm that'll shoot over your little beaker. It's like, how is this different than a drip machine?
See, that's what I was gonna say, is how good can coffee get? Like, I'm drinking coffee from Circle K while you're drinking La Colombe, and they have like,
this was probably cheaper.
It was cheaper, because this was a large. It was $1.76. That was $1.50.
I'm surprised that's a large nowadays. Usually a large has to be like,
they have an extra large.
It's
that's
like
enormous, but
give you cancer.
I don't know. I get towards
an American medium at best.
Yeah, I definitely get to the end of this though, and I'm like, ugh, it starts to be a bit much. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, the discrepancy between, or the difference between like an AeroPress, like a $15 AeroPress, and then a $300 pour over one. Like, there's not that much of a taste difference. That's absurd. And it just always reminds me of that time that you and I went to Chicago and we went to Intelligentsia, and I think you got a latte or something, and I was like, I'm gonna get a pour over, and it took like forever. And that guy was wearing his like he was a bearded hipster with glasses and this like flannel shirt with one of those food aprons on. He had one hand behind his back, and he was pouring the water over the pour over coffee. And I was just like, I want to die.
Supervised by a woman with armpit hair, probably.
Yeah, I wanted to leave so bad. I hated every second of it. I just wanted to smash the pour over coffee onto his face.
Wait, I feel like I don't know. Let's try to, right now we're going to discern which grades. So obviously espresso is fundamentally different than like coffee. Like, there's drip coffee, There's espresso, very different. Fair enough if you want to buy an espresso machine. You know, we had one. Then there's French press. Notable difference in taste, like significantly different. If that's what you're into, it's clearly like better than that, right?
Yes, better than
definitely challenges though. Like takes a little more time to make. If you leave it in the thing, it gets super
bitter,
black and bitter. You have to like dump it out into a carafe. A little bit involved. And then there's pour over, which is you have the the cone-shaped filter. You pour it. You have to like sit there with it. So you add some water. It like fills up, and then you
have to let it settle.
You add some more. You swirl it around. So you're kind of like agitating the beans a little bit. So there's more process, and probably you get more out of it than
get more out of the ground.
But then everything else after that is just drip.
Everything else is after that is drip.
And whether it's like sprinkling down from a Bunsen burner from heaven or in your little within your black coffee machine, I don't see how it makes a difference as long as it's going through a filter. Like the filter seems like the biggest.
The filter, and then I guess the rate of the delivery of the water. But it's like, how much does that really affect it? Like, that's mind-blowing.
I can't imagine. Like, if two things are going through the filter, like if I massage the beans and give them a back rub, but they're still going through the filter, how is it going to be that much different than like Circle K's? You know, like
I just had an image of like some hipster with their like socks off in a tub of ground, like smashing the grounds as they pour boiling water over his feet.
That's happening somewhere in the world right now.
Yeah. They're like, oh, this is just delectable. Yeah, but I failed to see. And then I remember another vivid experience that stood out was one time you and I were at Zorba's, which is now closed, with our at one time accountant Ray, who was great. And we were just sitting there. I was sitting there smashing that just like diner coffee. And there's something to be said for like that kind of drip coffee, where it's just like, I don't know, the taste isn't as profound, so you can just like drink a lot of it. And I don't know. So there's like value all along the spectrum. And I less and less feel the need to do because you had got me a French press, and then I have a AeroPress, and that makes like good coffee, but it's just such a pain in the butt to do.
Yep. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, there's a big coffee spiel for the day.
Yeah, we didn't see us going down that road.
And there's
a lot of coffee down that road.
A lot of coffee down that road. And then there's obviously, I don't know. You don't drink espresso drinks. I drink a cappuccino when I'm at a good coffee shop where they like actually make them well and everything. Like Starbucks are just so bad.
Starbucks is so bad. Let's talk about that for a second. Because
I don't know why.
I hate to be that guy that's like, Starbucks coffee is so gross, but it's the worst. Like the Pike Place, their like standard brew coffee is garbage. And like so many people buy it. I think it's the Jimmy John's phenomenon. I feel like people just go there because it's convenient and they're everywhere and they're fast. But their Pike Place coffee is absolutely garbage. And you can speak obviously to their, I don't know if you call them specialty drinks, but
I don't buy them anymore. But if you buy a latte at like any like a La Colombe or the place in our town is called Coffee Hound, or just any like good coffee shop where again you're getting served by people that don't shower, they have like beeswax in their hair, whatever, they'll make a real latte or cappuccino or whatever, and it's a great drink. But in Starbucks they just like burn the milk pretty much.
Yeah.
The beans are super oily and black, and they just like throw them together. There's no like folding it, and it just like doesn't fundamentally taste the same.
There's no love. They don't put
There's
any love.
no love, but it's just it's just a latte in Starbucks is just different than a latte in any of the traditional manners that they make it. And it's just, I guess because it's assembly line, but I don't know. I mean, I go to other coffee shops. I don't think like they're that much slower.
No.
Making a latte anyway. So I don't know.
And when you referenced an espresso machine, and we had one for a while, and it's like a big expense, but I would argue that if you do like the drinks that you used to do, or maybe still do, it's definitely worth it. Like when I was briefly, because all I pretty much drink is black coffee, but when I was doing like the cortados and all that stuff, it's pretty great to have the ability to do that on your own. Because cortados are great. That's like, I guess I would say probably my favorite just like straight up coffee drink.
Yeah, and if you don't know the ratios, a latte is like maybe 6 ounces of steamed milk and like 2 shots, 2 ounces of espresso. Cappuccino is maybe like 4 ounces of milk and 2 of espresso. And then a cortado is basically like 2 ounces and 2 ounces. So it's like it's kind of like a big shot glass.
Yeah.
Maybe even less than that. Maybe like 1.5 ounces of each, something like that. Because it comes like a big shot glass. But it's a really strong, good drink. But getting those at a coffee shop is problematic because if you're going to sit there, it's gone in like 20 seconds. You're like, well, Now I'm sad.
I'm really poorly disciplined when it comes to like eating and drinking things slowly. So anytime I get a cortado and a coffee, I'm like, yeah. I'm like, well, that was a good $3.50.
Yeah, that's what's a better home drink for sure. Because you can just throw them back if you feel like it. But yeah, I don't know. It's a strange. It's just I don't understand. I understand Starbucks. Starbucks is one of my favorite places because I like to sit there. I like their cafes. They have good Wi-Fi. They're comfortable for the most part. Not all of them, but most of them.
A lot of people run through there.
They're trendy. Like I like the decor. It's got a good vibe. But I don't go there for the coffee, and I just can't relate to people that walk in there. I want to get a coffee from Starbucks and then leave. If you want to get one of like their milkshake ones, like a Frappuccino or like a pumpkin spice latte, like I get that. That's like coming in for like a milkshake.
Yeah.
But if you're getting like actual coffee, like I don't get it. I just don't get it.
I go there in spite of their coffee.
Objectively not good.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Starbucks is successful because they were a third place. That's how I use it. I sit there a lot because it's a comfortable place to not be at home. I'm more productive. I like being out in the vibe of the world. I feel like a vagabond sometimes because I'm there a lot. There's one in town, the one by the Hyatt I go to a lot. But it's just like a nice place to just like sit and not be a hermit.
I have yet to step foot inside the Hyatt Starbucks. I need to do that. Speaking of which,
Wi-Fi is impeccable.
I thought of you the other day. Yeah.
Upload speeds. Whoo!
I thought of you the other day because I have a rewards thing on my Starbucks.
Can't redeem them there.
Oh, you can't?
Not at that one.
Well, weird.
If they're like privately owned or something, it's weird. You can't redeem their free ones.
But I don't want to like waste my free drink on like a.
No, you gotta go nuts.
A $2. Yeah, so I have to go like insane, but I don't know what to do. So I was like, Dan would know what to do. Like 17 shots of espresso, I guess. And
are you traveling anytime soon?
Not that I'm aware of. Oh, I should have done it when I was going up to Oak Brook. Which, by the way, we can talk about that in a second. But why'd you ask if I was going to travel?
That's just typically when I use my free one. So like if you use the Starbucks app, it just tracks it, and every like maybe 10 coffees or 20 or 30 bucks you spend, you get like a free one. But they put no limits on it, so you have to go nuts. So I typically use it when I'm like traveling somewhere where it's like maybe I'm a little tired and I need to pick me up, or just like, oh, I'm in vacation mode. Like I can like
have a nice drink.
I hate using the word treat myself. I can treat myself. And I'll get like,
you know what, Dan? You've earned this.
I think the last one I redeemed, I got a Trenta.
Which is 30 ounces?
30 ounces. I got a Trenta iced mocha with 2 extra shots. It was like a $9 drink.
Jeez Louise.
But typically it's in the $7 to $9 range. I get the biggest size possible.
You gotta really stick it.
I got the one of the coconut mocha latte things recently on a free one, and then you get a couple of extra shots at it because why would you not? Even though the big ones already have like 4 or 6 in them. It's like. So you end up recouping pretty good value from an $8 drink,
and you almost kill yourself in the process.
And it's the fall, so obviously, like all my fall choices are gonna be a pumpkin spice latte. Say what you want about a pumpkin spice latte, I think they're pretty darn good.
And I love the association with fall.
Yeah,
it's perfect. But I want to talk briefly about my trip to Oak Brook Center. So to update you on my personal life, my cell phone battery, my iPhone battery, was being absolutely terrible. Like the battery life was literally 2 hours to go from 100% to probably 15. And so it was in the news like a while ago that Apple basically admitted to planned obsolescence, and that they kind of like with their older iPhones, they knew they were degrading early, and they kind of wanted that because it made you buy a new iPhone. And so they're like, okay, you got us. So they did this battery replacement program, which for $30, which for Apple is dirt cheap, you could get your battery replaced. So I made an appointment up at the Oak Brook Apple store and went up there, and in the process I walked around that on your recommendation, that kind of like outdoor mall with outdoor shopping. It was really, really cool. But as I walked around, I couldn't help but think to myself, like, why people do that. Like I do pretty much 95% of my shopping online.
Yeah.
And admittedly, it was really cool. Like they have some higher end stores which I had never even heard of. Like there was one called Johnston and Murphy, which I had never heard of, which had some cool stuff. And there's just like a lot of different stores that I went into, saw some cool stuff, and then just walked right out of, because inevitably all of them are there's a fraction of like their inventory is really small. So they have like one of each size of each garment.
Here is shirt.
Yeah, here's shirt. And then kind of slow. It's kind of slow in there. It was like a Saturday afternoon, and so the stores I was going into, there weren't a ton of people, but there's usually like a 2-to-1 ratio of salesperson to shopper. So as soon as you walk in there, you feel super awkward because they're like, "Hello, sir. Hello. Can we help you find anything?" And you're like, "No, I'm just looking." And then inevitably, I don't know if they get commission or whatever, but they're trying to help you figure out what you want, and it's just like super uncomfortable, and it makes me cringe, and I end up leaving earlier than I should just because I want to not deal with the experience. And I couldn't help but think, I was like, oh, I was torn, because this is why I do all my shopping online, because I don't want to talk to these people. But then I like legitimately wanted to try a couple things on, and then didn't, just because I was like, I don't want to deal with these people. And I left, which was stupid of me. But when you went up there, was that your experience, that these people are terrible and it was super awkward?
I didn't go in that many unfamiliar stores, but I know like the higher end, that's like a really high end, like nice shopping mall in the suburbs of Chicago. And it's just like the higher end the store is, the like less inventory they have, the more just like open it is. Like, you see a lot of these places and you're like, they have like literally 38 like pieces of clothing in there. How are they existing? Like,
and I'm sure
like $600 a shirt, but
at higher end stores like that, I'm sure they have to pay their employees through commission. Yeah. Because otherwise nothing will ever move. So I'm sure they get a commission to try to move some product, which just makes them. And I remember back in high school, the joke was what was it called, the buckle challenge? Whereas if you could walk into a buckle store and get to the back of the store without being accosted by a salesperson, that was like the challenge. But I say it all the time, but I just hate it. It's like, leave me alone. I'll come to you.
Yeah, I don't know what the role of the salesperson is. I mean, I don't know. If the store's confusing, I feel like sometimes it's helpful. Sometimes I walk into a place and I legitimately want to find a person immediately so I can get the hell out of there as fast as possible.
Right, yeah, especially like the bigger department
I don't know
stores.
where I am. I don't know what I'm doing.
Help.
Especially if I'm shopping for a gift, I'll recruit people's help.
Plus,
however, that can also set you up in the awkward position of like, what are you looking for? Oh, I'm looking for baby clothes for my sister, because that's what I've purchased in the past 6 months. And it's like, oh, here you go. And you're like, oh, this looks really nice. And you look at the price tag, you're like, oh, that's like way more than I want to spend. Then you feel really awkward.
Take away, please.
Like, yeah, this is perfect. Oh, but I hate it because I'm, like, oh, I'm cheap. It's like, and I think they probably get a lot of people to buy stuff because of that. Because like,
yes.
I feel awkward, like exposing my financial system. And that doesn't matter. Like, everyone walks into a certain place with a budget, and if you don't, I don't know what kind of person you are. Maybe you're just either super wealthy, you don't care, but like, I have a budget in mind when I walk in what I'm going to spend on someone, and I don't, like, you can easily get pushed out of it.
And it was funny, I had that same
accidental or not.
That same experience at Lululemon. I was trying on a pair of pants and a pair of shorts that I fully did not intend to buy. I just wanted to try them on so that I could like go back and, this is going to be one of my other points, but see if it comes up on the sale basically section of Lululemon.com. But so I try them on, they fit well, and then I walked out and the little lady standing there like, well, what did you think? And I was like, nope. And so I gave her, and she's like, oh, that's too bad. And then like wanted to help me find a different size, or like help me find a different garment to like replace those ones. And I was like, no, thank you. And I like ran away, and it was just like super awkward. And then, but it led me to think, like even there. So I went to this other high end store and tried on a jacket, and I was like, even if I intended to buy this jacket, there's like a 0% chance that I would buy it at the store. I'm going to try it on and then go back home and then see if I can find a deal on it online. So I don't even know how those places exist.
Yeah.
And do those places pay rent to like Oak Brook Center? Because it has to be an inordinate amount of rent.
I don't know how those shopping centers work. I know like malls in the past, like you pay a commission, like a percentage of your sales go to the mall, I believe. So I imagine it's probably something like that, but they're like really expensive.
Yeah.
I don't know. The finances of some retail operations are fascinating to me and unknown to me.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, and I don't know. There's what was I gonna say? I don't know. I've forgotten the words that were going into my brain.
When's the last time that you went into a store and bought something?
Oh, this is what I was saying. So to answer that question,
for yourself,
I don't know.
Same. I got a gift card to Macy's for Christmas last year, and that made me go into Macy's, I think, to try something on and buy something.
Well, so there's one book I was reading recently called Control-Alt-Delete, which that was with the guy that said mobile, which was just obnoxious.
Time to go mobile.
Did we talk about it on the podcast, or was that just me
I think
Snapchatting in between?
No, I think we were talking about that here at Warbird one time.
God, last week I was finishing an audiobook, well, not finishing, but listening to an audiobook, absorbing an audiobook, and called Control Alt Delete. And I hope the author is listening. I'm sure he's not, because he's not one of the 400, 500 people that listen to this podcast. But he's like a normal, you can tell he's like an average, like middle America, you know, probably white dude, I don't know, who just like, based on his voice, is like big into tech. And the whole book is just like, the world's changing, here's how the tech industry's changing, here's how your business should change, here's how advertising's changing, here's how your ideas on purchasing and all this other stuff is changing. And he's like talking about forever about how mobile is changing how things are. So you have to be mobile optimized, you have to understand the mobile platform, blah blah blah. But the whole time he's not saying mobile like a normal freaking person, he's saying mobile. And I wanted to pull my hair out and I wanted to find him and just like, I don't know, spit in his mouth real fast. I don't know. It's like, dude, why are you saying mobile? Like, you're alluding to all these talks he gives and speeches and keynotes. It's like, are you telling me you're out here evangelizing to the world about the virtues of mobile phones? You sound like an idiot. Mobile. What's wrong with you? It's like it's a painful word. You have to like chew it to get it out. It's just. And I ranted on it about it on my Snapchat for a minute in the morning because I was just like so tired of it. Like 7 hours in, I'm like, why are you saying mobile? There's literally no reason to say mobile.
And here's my point: is when you make, especially an audiobook or something that's meant to be listened to in excess,
make it normal.
Yeah, you have to go out of your way to ensure that there's nothing that's going to take the listener out of the content, which that's like, clearly you listen to that and could think of nothing other than
it eventually
the word
became
mobile.
A tick in my brain. It's like, dude, stop saying mobile.
Because then you can think about nothing else, yeah.
Stop saying. But I just don't understand how he could go in boardrooms, he could go on, in front of thousands of people, especially like all these, he's talking about all these old people that like, they're like hesitant to change and they're like stuck in their ways. And it's like, all right, like, and you're gonna go up there and say the word mobile in front of them? They're gonna be like, what is he talking about? The same thing? Like, no one, literally, unless you are from another country and you have a thick accent, I haven't heard any like American, like, not saying that's the wrong way to put it, but it's like, I grew up here, kind of like American dialect, say mobile. No one says it that way.
Right. It is bizarre.
Like, I feel like I've had some like some Indian friends or something in the past where they've said mobile, where it seemed like it was just part of their dialect, like that's just the way they said it, and I have no problem with that whatsoever. But just like if Lucas was saying mobile, I'd be like, what's wrong with you, dude? Are you sick?
I feel like in British dialects they say mobile.
I think perhaps too. But there was not a hint of anything but classic, basic American. And
there's something about the accent that makes then that pronunciation not as stark. Like, you don't notice it, I would argue, when there's like an accent involved. Because there's other like sort of like variations of pronunciations of words that would make it kind of blend in. But yeah, if you're speaking totally traditional Midwestern American dialect, then every once in a while like mobile, then it would be really apparent.
And literally the only person I could think of who said that was Bane.
Yeah.
We're mobile.
Time to go mobile.
But why are we just talking about that? I don't know why that just came out.
Yeah, where did we go?
So the reason I brought that book up, and he had some good points. It was fine. If I want to listen to someone talk about the way the internet's changing, I'm going to listen to Gary Vaynerchuk. He's one of my favorites. So this guy was kind of like, all right, I get it. But he was talking about purchasing and how in the future, and like even now, I believe in South, I think he said in South Korea or just one of the Koreas, one of the two Koreas. I'm sure it was South Korea because
East Korea?
It's not North Korea. But, he said that how they have a new grocery service that they tested. So like the number 2 grocery chain in Korea was trying to gain obviously like momentum and become number 1. And they to try to optimize people's time, they released like a new mobile app that, or something like that.
I wasn't looking at you when you said that, and I thought you did it by accident.
Or maybe people were, there was like a tablet or like some like employees like in the subway station where people could order their groceries while they were just like wasting time waiting for their train. And he was just kind of bringing that up, folding in this bigger conversation about how people buy things and how people now will go to a store and like try on a shirt or like look for a jacket. Like, oh, I like this thing, I want to buy it. They don't have it in my size. Like, he's like, okay, well, do you have to go to another store now, or could you just order it right there on the spot in the store and they have it shipped to you? Like, or can you just go in a store and just try things on and not actually buy them right there, but just like get them shipped to your house right there from the store? Which I guess there's some benefit to that, and depends on the person, but it was just an interesting idea that he was just saying, like, look, shopping's changing. It's clearly changing. I know Uniqlo, he mentioned them. Have you been to a Uniqlo store? I have like some of their
I haven't
shirts and underwear and whatever, but there's a huge one in Chicago. They're like one of the most profitable like apparel companies in the world, apparently, because they like package their t-shirts up. They do lots of little things to cut costs.
Well, I was gonna say they're pretty low price point, that sort of thing, right?
Yeah, like kind of like an Old Navy comparable, and like a lot of basics, but like lots of, I don't know, it's a really unique store, Uniqlo, but they also do some like technology stuff from what I've heard. So I don't know, but he cited them, I think, as someone who's on the forefront of how you can order and interact with your purchase, and if they don't have a size, they can like potentially order it right there on the spot in the store without leaving, and you can do all sorts of stuff. So I don't know. It's like kind of like that blending of Amazon and.
Well, I was going to say part of it for me is you and I have discussed in the past the great advantage yet the terrible nightmare that is like Amazon shopping, especially when you're looking for something that's a little higher end. Where like I have this like I don't know if it would be considered FOMO, but like when.
What's a FOMO?
Fear of missing out.
Oh.
So like if I was at a store and I'm like, okay. Like there was this jacket I was at a store. I was like, oh, this jacket's sweet, and it was like $180 or something, and I could have just like bought it and been done. But I was like, well, what if I'm gonna spend $180 on a jacket? Is there a cooler jacket that I could get for $180? And then I'm like, well, I'm gonna go home and look. So then boom, I'm instantly going back to the internet and like looking for. Yeah. So it's like I think for me now, with the way that shopping is, that process is unavoidable. Where I'm always going to be comparing multiple different things, especially if I'm dropping more than like I don't know $150 or something.
Yeah. And I was actually talking to one of our kids about it, Mason, who's got a little like weird like
style,
like California kind of like he wears his joggers, and he just clearly has a different style than like whatever baseline is. But even now, like baseline style for kids growing up is like so much different than when we were kids. Because, and he was like, well, what kind of style do you have when you were a kid, Dan? I'm like, well, I don't know, like normal from my area, because. If you grew up in Topeka, Kansas in 1989 or something, like the style that you had was going to be based on like what department stores you could drive to.
Right.
Like they curated your clothing pretty much, but now I could come in tomorrow
rocking Topeka, Kansas.
I could look like Topeka, Kansas, or I could have like a full fur wolf suit from like Alaska.
Right.
I assume people in Alaska
like
wear wolf everywhere.
Yeah.
But you could wear.
Because that's what's available at their Macy's.
Yeah. I could have parachute pants on tomorrow if I wanted. I could wear whatever I want. I could have a 1989 Lakers flat bill hat tomorrow.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. That the geographic boundaries of fashion are
whatever style you want. Yeah.
Man, what a crazy world we live in.
Yeah, but I don't know. And Amazon, you're right. It clearly. I bought a used camera that's on its way, and just the amount of research I put into that was painful. Like I didn't want to keep doing research, but I just like, this camera looks right, price point's right, does this thing that I need, does this thing, and then like, oh, it doesn't do that, and you like gotta scratch it and find another one, and then after that you try to find, okay, I feel like this is my thing, and then what's the typical retail price? Like, can I get it refurbished? Can I get it used? Can I get it however? And it's just exhausting.
Also, the other thing that bothers me is, so I don't know, like I'm torn on using reviews, like user reviews as like a metric. It's really the only thing
it
you
is
have.
Tough, yeah.
But like my nightmare is when you're on Amazon or something and let's say you're looking at a camera and you scroll down and it's like 5-star, 5-star, and there's a 1-star and you're like, ooh, I'm gonna look at this 1-star, and it's like
the negative always.
Well, the negative always weighs more, and sometimes the negative will be like, oh, this camera came and the cardboard box was damaged. 1 star. And you're like, what? Yeah. No, you're reviewing the quality of the product, not
or the service. Or just like broke. It's just like, okay, that's like so you get a lemon. That's not like part of it.
But yeah, like you said, that's the other thing though, is you'll read 10 glowing reviews and then you read one that some guy's like, this is stupid. It's like it's not what it says it is. Like blah blah blah, and you're like, oh, I don't want this camera. And then it's like, add another hour and a half onto your search.
Yeah, that's. Well, then the hard ones for me are the ones where you like look at the bar and it's like 4.5 stars. You go, oh, that looks solid. Then you go through and it's like 32% 5-star, 21% 4-star, 20% 3-star, 17%. It's like, wait, all right, this distribution is like it's too normal.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
I don't know if this is good or not anymore. Well, you want to see it like 40 or like 70% 5 stars, then like some bad ones. That's like makes me feel more comfortable rather than just like a kind of even distribution.
I also was listening to this podcast one time about the, I'm sure you've come across it at some point, the sort of like the review conspiracy where companies will...
5 stars, by the way.
Oh.
For my La Colombe coffee. 5 legitimate stars.
Okay. Yeah, companies will outsource either, I guess, robots or potentially, I guess, just like cheap labor to go through and review all their products. And what's funny is, so they've done, I think there's a grad student or a PhD student that did this, that like went through and found all the common phrases in like all the fake reviews, and they're really funny, like, because the reviews will like sort of be logical and flow, but they won't really kind of make sense for whatever product they're reviewing. And I'm spacing on the examples they had, but like the syntax or the verbiage they use just like isn't quite make sense. And they're really funny when it's like isolated.
Just isn't quite make sense.
Isn't quite make sense. That's actually a really good example. But then those phrases, which are really vanilla and bland and
vanilla,
like,
chocolate, and strawberry.
Yeah, very Neapolitan.
Thank you for the comments, by the way.
Yeah,
Chad, Adam, we got a bunch of Neapolitan comments this go around, and I appreciate it.
But they'll find those same reviews across like multiple different products. So now they're like throwing into question this whole idea of like crowdsourced reviews, and it's potentially messing with the distribution of stars.
Would that violate child labor laws? Like if a 7-year-old, a 9-year-old is
copy pasting
over in China reviewing our things. Man,
and think about
do you feel good or do you feel better or worse about that?
Think about all the fake emails he has to make, like Michael Jordan 2, Michael Jordan 3, Michael Jordan 4 at Gmail.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah, reviews they're a heck of a thing. I don't know.
Speaking of which, those Yelp people won't leave us alone. I just got another voicemail from those Yelp people that you yelled at. Remember? Because they had that thing where you couldn't get your reviews posted.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yelp. Yep,
you
Yelp.
yelled at them, and they stopped, and then they started calling us again recently.
Take the call and tell them you want to delete our account forever. I blocked them because the last call I got, here's the story with Yelp. I put us on all the platforms like a year or two ago, just to have that, because that's just the way the world's going. Yelp has had no effect because people don't really use it for that. But I figured I'd put us on there anyway. I was kind of told to, and I've seen zero business from it. But anyway, Yelp has this review system where they like flag reviews, and you can't like solicit reviews for impartiality or whatever. So anyway, we get Yelp, and we like post some stickers around and like tell people that we're on Yelp, so we get a flood of initial reviews. They cancel all of them. It says these were not recommended. Our system flagged them as like fraudulent or whatever. So like, great, sure. These are clients we have for a long time, fraudulent. And then a month later, a couple other reviews just trickle in for people sitting in our academy that just like see the sticker. There were kids that were there bored, and they gave us a review. Flag those ones too. So we still to this day have 0 reviews, and like 20 that are like grayed out that you really have to like really dig to like read. That are like honest, normal like reviews. And I just was like, this was an absolute waste of my time. And so when we signed up for Yelp, we got free like $300 worth of free ads credit. So I used it. So I'm like, all right, I'll use this, and I canceled it before I ran out. And since then, they have like us flagged in their system as like an ad subscriber. Like we paid for ads. And so they call every quarter, and every time like, why are you calling me? They're like, oh, I'm like, no, I literally hate your company. Don't call me again. And I explained this to the first couple of people like over a year ago, and then since then the calls have seemed to increase. And I talked to a girl recently, and I'm like, look, I don't want Yelp to call me ever again. Like literally, listen to me. I don't want you to call me ever. Is there a list you can put me on to never call me? And she's like, can you guys explain? Like, let me stop you. I don't want to talk to you or your company ever. ever, like ever. So do you need me to I can so just you and I gave her two options. Like, here are the options. You can either I can block this number. Like, do I need to block your number, or can you just never call me? Which of the two? How can we make this happen? And she was like, I'm like, okay. I hung up and I blocked the number. And I guess they're still calling.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna delete it. So I hate Yelp. I hate Yelp.
So what was your impression that initial flagging was just because there's like a big influx of reviews?
I guess, but then
That's
the
really
fact that a couple more trickled in, like unsolicited a month ago, like a month later.
Yeah, so now
it's
we're
like,
like
how are you flagging those two?
perma-blocked.
Like, how are you flagging those two? Like, a restaurant opens up, and then they get a couple reviews like a month later.
Yeah.
And you like flag those two. It just irritated me. It was a painful process to set the Yelp site up. It was not like it was not like intuitive. It was just lots of details, and it was an annoying process, and it was a waste of my time. And then these people, and the thing that really pissed me off, this is when I started to get, not hostile, but this is when I started to get like very angry with them, was when they would call me back. So the girl who I talked to recently, she called, and she started going on her spiel. I said, I'm sorry, I don't want to talk to your company, and I hung up. She calls back, and I said, why are you calling me back? And she said, oh, we got disconnected. I said, no. I hung up on you because I don't want to talk to you, and I've made it clear in the past that I do not want to speak with your company, literally ever. And she's like, well, I'm like, in what world do telemarketers have the right to call you back?
Right.
Like, you get disconnected? No, you didn't get disconnected. I hung up the phone.
Yeah, it's called manual disconnection, and it's called hanging up on you.
And like people start to do this on email sometimes. They'll email, and then they'll follow up like, hey, just want to follow up about that email I sent. Let me know when you want to get started. It's like, no, dude, I didn't email you back because I don't want to get started.
Right.
Like
that's interesting that's the default. That like, oh, I'm gonna get a response, and we're gonna start a discourse.
Yeah,
like,
no. And some guy like a month, I think we talked about this one, but like some guy maybe 6 months ago left like 3 voicemails for me. I can't remember why. And then finally I recognized the number, and I picked up the 4th one, and he left me 2. It was like 3 calls and like 2 emails. And then I finally picked up, and I said, hey, because I knew who it was. And he's like, hey, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, hey, let me stop you. You know, you sent me 3 voicemails and like a couple emails, right? He's like, yeah. I'm like, and I didn't respond to them because I did not want to speak to you. So why are you calling me back a 4th time?
Right.
And he's like, I'm like, yeah, click.
Goodbye.
It's like, I'm not rude to people by default. I'm not. But you don't get the right to waste my time, and you don't get the right to pester me. That's
and you don't have an obligation to respond to
I don't.
Every email and voicemail you get. And the default is, as a telemarketer, as a salesperson, is I'm going to throw out all these lines, and the assumption isn't all these people will respond to me.
No.
The assumption is 0 of these people will respond to me. And the ones that do, then I actually
follow up with, by all means. And look, I do read emails. Like when emails come in, I don't really just like I'm not a person that like leaves unread messages where I have like the 1,000 unread emails. I'm not that person. I like will highlight them and delete them or archive them, but a lot of them I'll click, even if it's a unsolicited, and I'll just like scan it and then I'll get rid of it. So chances are, if you send me something, I probably looked at it, I probably don't care about it, and I probably deleted it, but chances are, if you've left me 3 voicemails and 2 emails, I'm aware of what you're selling, and I've chosen to not respond to that. And that's when it gets irritating if you're gonna continue to follow up. It's like, come on. You know, and then we talked about this in the past too. Like when you re-add us after I unsubscribe, when you re-add us 6 months later, God, that pisses me off. It's like that's not your right either, and that's gotta like violate
something.
Email laws, yeah.
Yeah, email law.
They do it.
You know, I'm an expert on email law.
Are you? Yeah. Bird law and email law. Yeah. Well, I think that's a good place to stop.
Yeah, that was a really interesting podcast.
Rousing talk show here. So we'll catch you next week on Twinsies.
Yep, see ya.